Luxembourg under spotlight as leaked documents reveal secret tax deals. Thank you for joining us for another Bank of Cardiff newscast. Picture the archetypal tax haven, and you're probably imagining miles of white palm-fringed beaches lapped by the turquoise waters of the Caribbean. But it's the secret tax deals in Europe that are hitting the headlines at the moment, as a report by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, or ICIJ, claims that companies like Pepsi and AIG have been benefiting from Luxembourg's willingness to offer special terms to companies willing to funnel their profits through the Grand Duchy. The report argues that hundreds of companies have saved billions of dollars in tax thanks to the secret deals with Luxembourg, which, quote, feature complex financial structures designed to create drastic tax reductions. The deals effectively deprive the countries in which large corporations operate and conduct most of their business of valuable tax revenues. Amazon, for instance, put £11 billion through its Luxembourg-based subsidiary in 2013, while paying just £4 million in the UK for corporation tax on goods sold to British customers and packaged in British warehouses. The tax shuffle is entirely legal. But is it ethical? Back in 2012, the BBC's Panorama programme team obtained confidential agreements detailing plans to sidestep millions of pounds of corporation tax by moving profits offshore in the same way. Pharmaceutical giant GlaxoSmithKline set up a new company in Luxembourg in 2009 and lent just over £6 billion to a GlaxoSmithKline company in the UK, which in turn repaid nearly £124 million in interest, effectively removing it from UK profits. The result being that instead of the £34 million it might have paid to Her Majesty's Revenues and Customs, the company parted with just £300,000 under its Luxembourg agreement, a rate of less than 0.5%. Well, MEPs are calling for an investigation despite Luxembourg's then Finance Minister Luc Frieden declaring that the country, quote, doesn't encourage anyone to engage in tax evasion, unquote. It does seem, though, that many companies seem to be using Luxembourg as little more than a mailbox. 3 buildings alone housed more than 4,000 companies at the time of investigation. IKEA and Deutsche Bank are also on the list of the 340 companies who allegedly took advantage of the controversial arrangements, some paying a rate of tax less than 1%. Apple and Amazon, already under scrutiny for their elaborate tax arrangements, are also implicated. In fact, the European Commission is investigating whether Amazon received what amounted to unfair state aid from Luxembourg for over a decade because of a preferential tax deal. Well, head of competition policy at the EC, Joaquin Almunia, said that national authorities must not allow selected companies to understate their taxable profits by using favorable calculation methods. It's only fair that subsidiaries of multinational companies pay their share of taxes and do not receive preferential treatment that could amount to hidden subsidies, he said. Well, a further embarrassment is that the leaked documents covered 500-odd tax rulings from 2002 to 2010, when the EU's top official, Jean-Claude Juncker, was Prime Minister of Luxembourg. Juncker has denied any wrongdoing, but is facing allegations that he made Luxembourg attractive to companies by offering to minimize tax bills if they relocated to Luxembourg. Well, it's a particularly sensitive time for Juncker, as he's currently charged with leading the EU campaign to persuade member states to exchange tax information that will bring greater transparency to financial transactions between different jurisdictions. Speaking at the recent G20 summit in Sydney, Juncker said that divergent national tax levels that resulted in very low taxation of companies had to be, quote, avoided, unquote. He claimed he was in favour of tax competition, but also in favour of fair competition, a statement which seems to fly in the face of Luxembourg's previous position. Michael Thürer, a German MEP, commented, "If cooperation between governments and big enterprises leads to tax avoidance, this has to be addressed in a broader context, which goes beyond just Luxembourg. Anyway, join us later this week for another Bank of Cardiff newscast, and remember that all of our newscasts are available on our website bankofcardiff.com/newscasts.